Hello and welcome along to another video. We're back on valve radios. At last. I've not worked on a valve radio for some months now. This is a Murphy U102A dating from 1947. It's a 5-valve AC/DC set, 3 wave bands, Bakelite cabinet, and I've wanted one of these for ages because I like the looks. Some people might hate it and think it looks absolutely awful. I actually quite like these, and I don't have one in my Murphy radio collection, and I've got loads of Murphy radios, absolutely loads, big old valve radios. I didn't make videos when I repaired most of those, so one day I might get them down from the loft one at a time and show you what they look like and how they perform. They're very, very good. Murphy radio was about 50-60 miles south of me in Welwyn Garden City, and towards the sort of mid 1940s, late 1940s, they started working on sets that were later called baffle radios, and these were to try and improve the sound. This is a pre-war set, obviously, 1947, probably made 1946 or whatever it was. At this time, British radio was still suffering from the shortages of World War II. A lot of radio production was going towards the military, valves, valves, tone pots, capacitors, resistors, all that was going towards military use. So what you'll find around this time is various things inside radios that you wouldn't expect to be there. Murphy in particular used American military spray capacitors, the grey ones, which sometimes can be absolutely fine. So I haven't opened this one yet at the back. We'll see what's in here. This cost me £10 from last week's radio auction, and yeah, I'm looking forward to working with it. Everything's in pretty good condition externally. It is dirty, but the Bakelite isn't scratched and it isn't dull. It's got a great shine to it. I'll need to replace this silver paint here. The original should be like an ivory white, like a cream colour. Someone's repainted this, and undoubtedly, being a Murphy set of this vintage, there's a lot of wiring to replace inside, which is all good fun. Right, I'll step back and hope I don't bump the camera while I turn it round. I've already removed the back just to make things a little bit quicker. And there we go, there's the inside. There's the, and if I turn it at an angle it might actually look a bit better. You're better to see. So this is the resistor dropper. This is where the voltage comes in and it drops to suit the radio. There's a choke there, the audio transformer, output transformer is down the bottom here, output tube, rectifier. That output tube's huge compared to these things, isn't it? Two 16 UF capacitors. I'm not sure if they're original, or at least one or other of them is original, because one's bigger than the other, but who knows. And everything seems to be there. It's quite dusty. There's evidence of some spiders in there at one time, which is a good thing. So what I'm going to do next is undo the chassis, see what it looks like on the inside, and get fixing it. I've got all the service data here. If any of these valves go, because these are not ones that I particularly keep, I'll have to go and try and find them. You notice the rectifier's got full metallic sprayed on screening on it as well, just like these valves. Quite unusual for a rectifier. Right, so the next thing is to get the chassis out, and the chassis has, you probably might not see it, I'm not sure. The chassis is on 4 hexagonal bolts here. It's quite unusual to see this sort of chassis in a British radio, I'd say. You probably see it in a Philips, but not in a Murphy, and it's quite a slim set. There is something rattling about inside, and this corner up here of the chassis is a little bit looser than the rest, so I don't know whether a stud has broken out from the top there in shipping. I don't know, but it just seems a little bit looser. It doesn't seem to be as tight as it is in these four. In fact, you can see it wobble a bit there. Yeah, it doesn't feel so tight, so we'll see what the damage is there, but I'm sure it's easily fixed as long as the bits of Bakelite are there. Right, I'll get the chassis out next. So while I'm fixing my radios, I'm watching Graham Radio Cruncher on his live broadcast here. Of course, as it's Sunday, I've got a nice beer on the go as well. Graham's taken apart a Roberts R707 there. I think he's on most Sundays. It's the first time I've actually managed to catch him without being asked to go up the shops and do all sorts of family stuff, so well worth watching. Right, here we go with the reverse of the chassis. Spiders. Thankfully they're dead. I can spot 4 in here already. And as I mentioned before, with Murphy sets of this age that we're using, a couple of the sets I've had previously have had spray military capacitors, or what were used in military radios. And there's one here in this plastic sleeving. Now, sometimes these are absolutely fine. And I've got, well, that I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of these military spray capacitors in here. Sorry, there's. I'll start again. Right, there's 1 there, 1 up there, 1 there, 1 there, and 1 there. These grey metal spray capacitors, which are usually good, don't need replacing. So what I'm going to do is just switch it on and not replace those, but only after I've checked all the wiring out. Thankfully, and I thought the dial pointer had gone, I thought the dial string had snapped, but you can see the dial pointer there. It's just very, very dark. I'll just move it up and down. You can hopefully see it moving. When the radio's in the chassis, you can't see the dial pointer because it's black. Right, so we've got cathode bypass electrolytic there of 50 UF. That'll be quite low voltage. We've got the let's have a look. We've got the, that'll be tone control, I would imagine. That one here, that's tone control. This one would be the one, or that capacitor, the one that everyone says to always replace. So I might just replace that for safety's sake, because I don't want the output valve harmed, because that will be expensive undoubtedly. Some super great dog bone resistors. That's a monster, isn't it? What's that? Probably a watt or something. 2-watt resistor compared to modern stuff. But yeah, other than some cleaning, it looks in pretty good condition. And these grey painted chassis that Murphy used, always pretty much, this hasn't got hardly any rust on it, just a little bit of surface rust here. This will clean up really, really nicely. Not that it matters because no one else will see it, but just for appearances on the inside, it'll clean up really nice. This wire is a little bit crispy, and I suggest that I'm going to have to end up replacing all of this, but it's not that crispy that the insulation's falling off, whereas the stuff on the other side definitely is. There's the big electrolytic there. So yeah, it looks eminently restorable. And on the inside I mentioned these lugs and how the chassis didn't seem to be very tight. If you look up there, you can see the screws actually broken out of the Bakelite. You can just see this big lump here with the screw embedded in it. Well, inside the chassis, I'll just get it out, is a lump of Bakelite that I would imagine has been there for some time. Little spiders on it, that's been there for a long time, broken off. There's house spider legs on all over it. So I'm going to have to glue that up, and that's going to be one of my first jobs actually, is glue this. It won't take very long, just some super glue, and glue that stud back in properly so I can remount the chassis safely. Right, there we go. Next time, what I'm going to do now is replace some of the wires, lubricate a few bits and pieces, like the tuning gang, just to make things easy and put less stress on the dial string, and get rid of the spiders. Most importantly, I flipping hate spiders really badly. And then we might fire it up. So as long as it's safe to put power to, yeah, I might fire it up and see what happens. Thanks for watching.